There is a sound your yard makes every morning that almost no one alive has ever heard from beginning to end. It begins 40 minutes before sunrise. In a darkness most people sleep through. It ends within the hour. By the time your kettle is on, the most acoustically complex event of the day in your yard is already finished, and the air your back door opens onto is the quiet that came after it. People call it the dawn chorus. That phrase is so familiar it has stopped meaning anything. What is actually happening in those 40 minutes is not a chorus. It is a sequence. The same species sing, in the same order, at the same light levels, in the same overlapping bands of pitch, every morning of every spring of every year, with a precision that took researchers decades to measure. I wanted to hear it for myself, so for 21 consecutive days, I placed a recorder in a single backyard and captured every sunrise from 40 minutes before first light to 30 minutes after. What that recorder picked up changed what I thought I was hearing when I stepped outside in the morning. There is a bird in your yard that sings in near total darkness, navigating by a brightness in the eastern sky that human eyes cannot detect. There is another that weighs less than a handful of coins and produces more sound per gram of body weight than almost any vertebrate on the planet. And there is a moment, about 5 minutes after sunrise, when every singing species in your yard is vocalizing at the same time, in a coordinated layering of pitch that researchers only began to decode in the last 15 years. Welcome back. If you're new here, make sure you subscribe, because what you're about to learn will change the way you listen to every morning for the rest of your life. Stay until the end. What 21 mornings of recording finally let me understand was not about any single bird or any single yard. It was about what is happening above your house at dawn, not in it, above it, and the true size of it is something I was not prepared for. We are going into the dawn, not the part you've seen from your kitchen window. The 40 minutes before and during sunrise, when your yard does something it does not do at any other time of the day. Number 1, the bird that sings before there is light. The first sound on every one of my 21 recordings was the same, 40 to 45 minutes before sunrise. In a darkness that, to the human eye, is still full night, the American robin began to sing. Not a chirp, not an alarm call, the full territorial song, repeated in slow measured phrases from the highest perch available. Most people associate robins with the lawn at mid. Almost no one realizes they are the earliest singer in the eastern half of North America. The Cornell Lab of Ornithology's research on dawn chorus sequencing, drawing on Project Feederwatch and acoustic monitoring data, has documented this consistently for years. Robins begin singing at light levels measured in fractions of a lux, far below the threshold the human eye registers as visible. What the robin is doing in that pre-light window is claiming airspace before any competitor can. The bird that sings first establishes the territory for the morning. That is why the earliest singer is also the loudest, most resonant voice in the early window. It is the bird that loses the most if it goes second. If you have ever woken at 4:30 in the morning, looked at the still dark window, and heard a single fluting song outside, it was almost certainly a robin singing into a sky that had not yet decided to be sky. Number 2, the chickadee, that arrives at exactly the right moment, about 12 to 15 minutes after the robin. On every recording, a black-capped chickadee began to call. The chickadee does not sing first, because it cannot afford to. Smaller birds run a calculation that larger birds do not. Singing in darkness exposes you to nocturnal predators, owls in particular, and the smaller you are, the more expensive that exposure becomes. So the chickadee waits. It waits for a specific quality of light that ornithologists at the University of Windsor have measured directly in long-term acoustic studies. Enough ambient brightness for a small bird to detect movement around it, still dim enough that it has the early window of song mostly to itself before the heavier traffic of the chorus begins. The consistency is what is hard to fathom. Across 21 mornings, overcast days, clear days, light rain. One morning of unusual fog, the chickadee's first call shifted by no more than 9 minutes from start to end of the recording period. No clock in the bird. No calendar. Just an eye, reading the eastern sky, with a precision a wristwatch would envy. 9 minutes. Across 3 weeks. That is the margin of error of an animal that weighs less than a stack of pennies. Number 3, the cardinal that times itself to the sky. The third voice in almost every recording was the northern cardinal. Cardinals do not sing in the dark. They wait for what astronomers call civil twilight, the specific phase about 20 to 30 minutes before sunrise, when the eastern horizon has lightened enough to outline shapes against the sky. Research published in the OASI, the Journal of the American Ornithological Society, has tied cardinal song onset directly to this threshold across multiple study sites. The moment that light level is reached, the cardinal begins. And the cardinal does something that almost no one who hears it every morning has consciously registered. The The cardinal sings the same song repeatedly for the entire first stretch of its dawn chorus. The phrase is fixed. The pitch is fixed. What changes is the volume. The cardinal begins quietly, almost as if testing the air. Within 4 to 6 repetitions, it is singing at near full volume from the highest available perch in the yard. The escalation is identical across mornings, across individual birds, across the entire 3-week recording window. What you are hearing when a cardinal sings at dawn is not a bird greeting the day. It is a bird advertising its survival of the night to every other cardinal within hearing distance. The song says, "I made it. The territory is still mine." Number 4. The renda sings more per ounce than almost anything alive. If you have a Carolina wren in your yard, you do not need a recording to know it. You will hear it the moment it begins. The Carolina wren weighs roughly 20 grams. That is the weight of 4 pennies. From that body it produces a song measured at over 90 decibels at 1 meter, comparable to a power tool, a motorcycle at idle, a heavy truck passing on a city street. A study in the journal Animal Behavior documented Carolina wren's song output that, scaled up to human size, would be physically impossible for a person to produce. The bird is, in terms of sound output per gram of body mass, one of the loudest vertebrates on the planet. On the recordings, the wren entered the chorus consistently between the cardinal and the full daylight singers. Its phrase was the easiest to identify on the spectrogram, a dense, repeating block that essentially saturated the audio channel for the duration of the song. 4 pennies of bird, 90 decibels of song. The smallest singer in your yard is, by the only honest measure of effort, the loudest animal in it. But what comes next is the part of the recording I did not know I was capturing, until I went back and looked at this, because it turns out the birds in your yard at dawn are not just singing near each other. They are doing something far more coordinated than that. Number 5. The 5-minute window where everything sings together. Around 5 to 8 minutes after sunrise, on every one of the 21 mornings, the recording reached its loudest point. This is what ornithologists call the dawn chorus peak. For roughly 5 to 7 minutes, every singing species in the yard is vocalizing simultaneously. Robins, cardinals, chickadees, wrens, titmice, song sparrows, and any warblers, finches, or thrushes present all overlap. The spectrogram for this window is almost unreadable. So many frequencies are active at once that the visual representation looks like static, but the ear can still pick out individual voices, because each species occupies a slightly different frequency range, and the birds appear to adjust the precise pitch of their songs in real time to avoid masking by other species. The phenomenon has a name: acoustic niche partitioning. Researchers at the University of Sussex and at the Max Planck Institute for Ornithology have documented it in increasingly precise detail over the last decade. The chorus is not chaos. It is organized. Every species has a band of the acoustic spectrum it tends to sing within, and within that band, birds make micro-adjustments to remain audible against the songs of their neighbors. It is the closest thing to live ensemble negotiation that exists in the natural world. The birds in your yard at dawn are not just singing near each other. They are singing around each other. Number 6. The bird that listens before it sings. This was the single most surprising observation across the 21 days. On at least 11 of the mornings, the recordings captured a clearly audible pause from one species, usually a song, sparrow, or a house, ran immediately before its first song of the day. The pause was not random. It came in the gap between 2 phrases of another bird's song. The bird was waiting for an opening. Behavioral acoustic research from the Cornell Lab and the Macaulay Library has documented exactly this pattern over the last 15 years. Many songbirds appear to monitor the dawn chorus actively, listening for acoustic windows in which their own song will be most audible, and timing their first vocalization to fall inside those windows. The bird is not singing into silence. The bird is singing into a conversation it has been monitoring since before it opened its beak. That changes what you are hearing when you stand at your back door in the early morning. The chorus is not a celebration of the light. It is a negotiation in real time among animals who have been awake longer than you have, listening to each other with a precision no human ear in the yard could match. Number 7. The voices that drop out as the sun rises. By 30 to 35 minutes after sunrise, the recordings begin to thin. The robins stop first. Cardinals fade next. The cicadas and titmice continue, but at greatly reduced rates. And within an hour of full sunrise, the dawn chorus is essentially over for the day. What replaces it is the ordinary daytime soundscape of the yard contact calls. Occasional songs. The noise of birds feeding rather than declaring. The reason the chorus ends so abruptly is biological. Singing in the pre-dawn window is energetically expensive. At a moment when a bird has not yet fed and has just survived a long, cold night. The British Trust for Ornithology, drawing on decades of dawn chorus data across the UK and parallel North American studies, has linked the dawn singing window directly to the trade-off between territorial advantage and metabolic costs. The window exists because the benefits outweigh the costs. Territorial advertisement, mate attraction, low background noise from human activity, still air that carries sound farther than any other moment of the day. Once the sun is up and feeding is possible, the calculation flips. The same bird that was singing full-throated at 5:40 in the morning is silent at 7:30 because it cannot afford the energy, and it does not need to anymore. The dawn chorus is not how birds sound. It is what birds choose to do in a specific and narrow daily window when the math favors singing over almost anything else. Number 8. What is actually happening above your yard at dawn? I want you to picture something. The recordings I made were in a single backyard. 1 yard, 21 mornings, a few hundred feet of airspace. Now widen the frame. At the moment your robin begins singing tomorrow morning, 40 minutes before your sunrise, the same sequence is unfolding in tens of millions of yards across North America. Not approximately. Specifically, the robin in your yard is singing first, because robins sing first. The robin in the yard 6 blocks away is singing first for the same reason. The robin 300 miles east of you, where the sun has already begun to clear the horizon, finished its dawn chorus an hour ago and is now feeding on a lawn already in full light. The dawn chorus is not a local event. It is a continental wave across the eastern half of North America. The same 40-minute sequence: robins, then chickadees, then cardis, then wrens. Then the full overlapping peak is moving westward at the speed of the Earth's rotation. The wave begins on the Atlantic coast hours before it reaches the Pacific. In the early hours of spring and early summer, somewhere on the continent, the dawn chorus is always happening. If you could listen from above, not to 1 yard, but to the continent, what you would hear is a slow-moving band of song, hundreds of miles wide, traveling westward across the land between roughly 4 and 7 in the morning, local time, every day, 4 months. The robin you hear from your bed tomorrow morning is singing a phrase that, in that same 40-minute window, is being sung simultaneously by tens of millions of other robins in tens of millions of other yards, in a chorus so large that the only way to perceive its true size is to abstract yourself away from it entirely and imagine standing somewhere above the curve of the planet. This is what 21 mornings of recording made me understand. The yard I was recording was not a yard. It was a single point in something enormous. The robin in the maple was not singing alone. The robin in the maple was a single voice in a continental instrument that plays for 40 minutes, every morning, in a sequence refined over millions of years. It is happening above your house tomorrow. It will happen the morning after that. It has been happening every morning of your life, and it will continue every morning after you are gone. You have been sleeping through it. The recorder captured what the ear cannot. It captured the order, the timing, the negotiation, the moment of overlap, the slow thinning as the sun climbed. But what no recorder can capture is the scale of the thing. That part you have to imagine. The next time you wake before sunrise and hear a single song outside your window, remember what you now know. That song is not the morning beginning. It is a local edge of a continent-wide event that has been moving toward your yard, across hundreds of miles of darkness, all night long. It has just arrived. You are hearing it from the inside. Tell me in the comments, what is the earliest bird song you have ever woken up to, and do you know what bird it was? If you have ever stepped outside in the dark before sunrise and heard something that surprised you, I want to hear about that too. I read everyone. I'll see you in the next one.